From the silence of scorched earth, a new landscape has risen. Only 2 years ago, this was empty desert. Today, it is the Meidong Solar Farm, a gleaming expanse twice the size of Manhattan, generating enough electricity to sustain a small nation. But this is no mere monument to engineering. It is a single, calculated move in a game of immense strategic importance. For decades, China's rise has been tethered to a profound vulnerability: energy. The world's factory runs on a fuel it does not possess. Every day, more than 10 million barrels of crude oil must be imported, the majority of it traversing sea lanes patrolled by the United States Navy. A single blockade, and the engine of its economy could seize. To Beijing, this is no distant threat, but an existential one. Its answer is an undertaking without precedent for a modern superpower: to forge a nation that no longer needs oil. The Meidong Farm is but a single point of light. This is the constellation of every solar farm in China. Last year, they produced enough energy to power both France and the United Kingdom. The majority did not exist just 3 years ago. Yet even this vast solar array is not the whole story. China generates still more power from the wind, and more again from the immense force of its rivers. By early 2025, clean energy constituted nearly 40% of its electrical supply. At this pace, its annual output will soon eclipse that of the entire European Union. And should Beijing sever its dependence on imported oil, America loses one of its last, most significant points of leverage. In a world where energy independence grants strategic freedom, the island of Taiwan suddenly appears far more vulnerable. Under one administration, the White House fought back, pouring billions into green subsidies in an attempt to challenge China at its own game. Under another, a different philosophy was championed: a national energy emergency declared with a simple, stark command: drill, baby, drill. While American energy policy oscillates with each election cycle, Beijing is engaged in a much longer game. The nation's greatest headache, securing reliable access to fuel, has been the ball and chain holding it back from escaping the middle-income trap to realizing its territorial ambitions. Today, they are by far the largest energy consumer on Earth, and their appetite grows with each passing year. For every nation in history, greater energy use per person has meant a better life. In China, that demand is still accelerating, fueling not only the second largest population in the world, but a manufacturing behemoth that consumes energy on a scale almost difficult to comprehend. This is a strategy designed to reshape global power itself. For if the world's largest importer of oil suddenly has no need for it, what becomes of all who still do? To fuel an industrial revolution of unprecedented scale, China turned to the Earth's most ancient power source: coal. Its appetite became voracious, consuming fully half of the world's entire supply, nearly 5 times that of its closest rival. While most of this black bounty was mined within its own borders, this self-reliance came at a staggering cost. For decades, a toxic shroud descended upon its sprawling cities. This was more than an aesthetic blight. It was a specter that shortened lives, burdened hospitals, and choked the very productivity it was meant to empower. The arc of development dictates a move away from the grime of coal towards the cleaner, more flexible power of oil and natural gas, the lifeblood of modern cities and advanced industry. But as Beijing looked to make this pivot, it collided with a harsh geological truth. Beneath its own soil, the vast reserves of oil and gas simply did not exist. The nation's energy portfolio did not transform overnight, but its total demand exploded. This surge meant China was now burning more oil and gas than ever before, forcing it to look overseas. It soon became the world's single largest importer of both. This dependency created a new kind of vulnerability. The global price of energy, dictated by distant cartels, regional wars, and international crises, could skyrocket without warning. For the world's factory, an economy built on razor-thin margins, such volatility is not merely an inconvenience. It is a threat that can stall orders, cut shifts, and silence the relentless hum of its export machine. But the economic fragility is only one part of the equation. The greater peril lies on the open water. Over 90% of China's imported oil and liquefied gas arrives by sea, carried in the hulls of supertankers. These vital supply lines traverse contested seas, waters patrolled by the United States Navy and its allies, through the Taiwan Strait and across the vast expanse of the South China Sea. American warships sail through zones Beijing claims as its own, a constant, silent assertion of who truly commands the waves. And then, the global artery narrows to a single, fragile choke point, the Strait of Malacca. Through this sliver of water, nearly 80% of China's crude oil from the Middle East and Africa must pass. In the calculus of global power, should conflict ever erupt, this strait could be closed to Chinese shipping in an instant. The flow of energy would be severed. The economic miracle would go into meltdown. Refineries would fall silent. Factories would shutter. And the engine of global manufacturing would grind to a halt. The Strait of Malacca is more than a geographic feature on a map. It is the nation's Achilles heel. For a civilization that has conquered so much on land, its ultimate destiny may be decided by a narrow passage of water, thousands of miles from its shores. In the halls of power in Beijing, it is known as the Malacca Dilemma, a fundamental vulnerability that shackles the nation's grandest ambitions. As long as this strategic weakness persists, the ultimate goal of reunification with Taiwan remains a gamble too great to consider. An American blockade of this vital shipping lane could cripple the Chinese economy, shattering the delicate social contract between the state and its people. Without the promise of prosperity, the absence of political freedom becomes a far heavier burden for the population to bear. For China, achieving energy security is not merely an economic goal. It is the essential precondition for realizing its destiny on the world stage. The problem is one of profound dependency. China must manage a colossal industrial economy fueled by imported energy, priced in foreign markets, and transported through maritime routes it does not command. To truly challenge the existing global order, this foundational weakness must first be overcome. The question is brutally simple. How does a nation remove such a ball and chain to finally achieve true independence? The answer is already taking shape. By 2025, a mere 5% of the nation's electricity was generated from natural gas, and virtually none from oil. The vast remainder is drawn from domestic sources. In theory, the lights could stay on, and the grid could remain stable, even if the Malacca Strait were sealed tomorrow. The solution, then, is as simple in concept as it is staggering in scale. Move everything onto the national grid. For every machine that switches from oil and gas to electricity, a pressure point is relieved, a vulnerability erased. This silent revolution is already underway. Electric and hybrid vehicles now account for a majority of new car sales. The importance of this shift cannot be overstated. The electrification of road travel alone could almost eliminate the country's reliance on oil imports, rendering its highways immune to the effects of a distant blockade. The transformation does not stop with cars. The same story is repeating itself across the vast networks of railways and buses, and in the heating systems of its sprawling cities. China is on a trajectory to become the most electrified major economy on Earth, having already surpassed the United States and the developed nations of Europe. Every step away from the oil barrel and toward the electric kilowatt is another step on the long march to energy security. But this monumental success carries with it a profound and dangerous paradox. As China solves the riddle of its energy security, it deepens another, more global crisis. Despite these gains, its greenhouse gas emissions remain, by far, the largest in the world. The reason is tragically straightforward. The electricity that powers this new independence flows, overwhelmingly, from the burning of coal. In its urgent quest to electrify, the nation's addiction to the dirtiest of fossil fuels has only become more difficult to manage. A nation's solution for geopolitical survival has become an accelerator for planetary peril, demonstrating that the pursuit of absolute security can cast the longest and darkest of shadows. But for Beijing, a solution was already taking shape, a tectonic shift in national strategy. In the year 2021, renewable energy was no longer merely a plan. It was declared a paramount national priority. The signal cascaded down from the highest echelons of power. Generation targets were decreed to local authorities. Vast tracts of public land, once dormant, were unlocked. The machinery of state planning was ordered to fast-track any project that harnessed the wind or the sun. At first, it was the state that shouldered the immense risk, injecting more than $625 billion into its nascent green industries. But where the state led, the private sector soon followed. A fierce current of competition was unleashed. Economies of scale were achieved with a speed that defied all expectation. The costs, particularly for solar and wind, simply collapsed. Contracts were fulfilled ahead of schedule. Colossal projects were delivered under budget. The architects of this new era were forced to think on an even grander scale. Arteries of steel and wire, monumental power lines, were strung across the continent, connecting the sun-drenched solar fields of the West to the sprawling population centers of the East. Immense energy storage facilities rose from the ground, built to capture every stray watt of power. Only then, once the foundations were laid, did the true construction begin. Deserts. offshore wind zones fanned out along the eastern seaboard, a forest of turbines harvesting the power of the sea. And now, the scale of that effort is coming into focus. In 2024, China added over 500 terawatt-hours of renewable generation to its grid. To put that figure in perspective, it is enough energy to power the entire nation of Germany for a year. It is more than the rest of the world combined managed in the same period, and they are expected to add even more in 2025. On this trajectory, the nation's electricity grid could achieve net zero by 2055. This is a strategy that solves two existential problems at once: the quest for energy security and the battle against pollution. With each new turbine that spins, the leverage held by Washington seems to evaporate. With each new solar panel that glints in the desert sun, the path to its long-held ambitions, including the retaking of Taiwan, appears to clear. But even this fails to capture the sheer scope of the vision. It has become clear that this monumental push is about far more than domestic construction or clean electricity. Beijing is positioning itself to command the entire global supply chain for the green economy of tomorrow. Already, Chinese firms are the gatekeepers of the minerals that make this technology possible: lithium and graphite for the batteries, rare earths for the motors and turbines, copper for the web of wires that binds it all together. In manufacturing, their dominance is absolute, producing most of the world's batteries, solar modules, and turbines. And this ambition does not stop at their own borders. Through the vast network of the Belt and Road Initiative, state-owned giants now export China's model, building the green infrastructure of other nations across the globe. A new world is not just being imagined, it is being constructed piece by piece on a foundation of silicon, steel, and strategic foresight. The Great Transition is not merely a matter of self-sufficiency. It is a fundamental realignment of global power. China has woven itself into the very fabric of the world's green energy future, and for Washington, this presents a strategic vulnerability of the highest order. To wean itself from the fossil fuels of the past is to deepen its reliance on the Chinese supply chains of tomorrow. In a crisis, this reliance becomes a weapon. Beijing could constrict the flow of critical minerals, of essential components, crippling America's energy industry and striking at the heart of its economy. The historic roles of energy dependence could be reversed, leaving China holding all the cards. Awareness of this risk has not, however, translated into a unified response. In 2022, one administration passed the Inflation Reduction Act, unleashing $825 billion in green energy subsidies over the next decade. Much of this capital came with conditions, compelling American companies to build at home and severing technological ties with Chinese counterparts. Tariffs were raised on electric vehicles, solar cells, and batteries. A defensive wall to shield a nascent domestic industry from being overwhelmed. For a moment, it appeared a comprehensive strategy was finally in motion. The writing seemed to be on the wall for an age defined by oil and gas, and for the millions of livelihoods tied to it. But then, the political landscape shifted. On the first day of a new presidency, a different message was sent to the world. The Paris Agreement was abandoned. An executive order was signed to unleash American energy, fast-tracking drilling and tilting policy back toward the familiar embrace of fossil fuels. Overnight, the future of the green energy industry was thrown into question. The promise of millions of new jobs cast into doubt. Either path, a concerted push towards green independence, or a doubling down on fossil fuel dominance, could theoretically reduce Beijing's leverage. The fatal flaw lies not in the strategies themselves, but in the violent oscillation between them. For private industry, this volatility is poison. In an environment of such profound uncertainty, the monumental long-term investments required for either vision to succeed become impossibly risky. And so, as China projects a clear, unwavering, decades-long vision for its future, the White House hamstrings its own nation with inconsistency. For the ordinary citizen, the consequences are stark. Rising bills, a grid stretched to its breaking point, and a constant struggle for households and businesses to simply stay afloat. But the greater danger is geopolitical. If a consistent course is not chosen, and soon, the leverage China seeks may become permanent. The contest for global primacy in the 21st century could be decided not by a single, decisive event, but by the slow, corrosive effect of a nation unable to decide what its own future will be. In an age of renewed uncertainty, the concepts of security and sovereignty have returned to the heart of national policy. A new generation of threats demands a new generation of defense. Born from research at MIT's Lincoln Laboratory and advanced through partnerships with the Department of Homeland Security, a technology known as HexWave is emerging. It is a walk-through portal, but unlike any that have come before. Using millimeter wave technology, three-dimensional imaging, and artificial intelligence, it detects threats in real time. The scanners of the past were blind to the dangers of the present, but this system identifies not only metallic objects, but the plastic and three-dimensional printed weapons that render traditional detectors obsolete. It can scan up to 700 people an hour without requiring them to remove jackets, shoes, or personal items. The screening process becomes faster, less invasive, and profoundly more accurate. A quiet revolution in the architecture of public safety. This technology has already been deployed at the Los Alamos National Laboratory, one of the most secure facilities on Earth. The Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, has taken notice, awarding a sole source contract worth $6 million. Such agreements are reserved for technologies considered uniquely capable of meeting the nation's most critical requirements. The contract includes an upgrade for the TSA's Quest to retrofit approximately 1,000 body scanners with new high-definition imaging. At a unit cost of $100,000 each, this represents a potential $100 million rollout. Additional orders are anticipated, with another $4.5 million sole source contract already granted. A federal mandate looms. By April of 2026, all United States airports must begin screening employees for concealed threats. The demand for this technology is not a matter of if, but when. The interest is not confined by borders. One of the largest international airports has selected HexWave for its own worker screening. In Bogotá, Colombia, a correctional facility has purchased the system. In the unending search for safety, the challenge has always been to erect shields without building cages. The new frontier of security is not one of higher walls, but of smarter sight, an invisible, intelligent layer that seeks to preserve not only our lives, but our way of life in a world of ever-evolving risk. In an era defined by unseen threats, the very architecture of public safety is being redrawn. A new generation of security is emerging, one that seeks to make the invisible visible. At the forefront of this movement is a system known as Hexwave. Forged through unique government partnerships and propelled by a wave of federal mandates, this technology represents a fundamental shift in how we perceive and preempt danger. As it prepares for deployment across the nation's critical infrastructure, it stands at a precipice, a pivotal moment in the drive to modernize the very shield that protects a country. The push to secure a nation is more than an upgrade of hardware. It is a re-evaluation of the delicate balance between vigilance and liberty. In the quest to safeguard society, the most profound challenge remains not in identifying the threats we can see, but in defining the boundaries of the safety we create.